What's up, America? Neil here with Geauga Firearms Academy. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to do a really cool video on actually how to sight in a red dot. We get tons of questions on that. You're probably wondering who is my compadre over here. This is Cody. We were in law enforcement together. We are at separate agencies now. But what do you shoot, Cody? What kind of gun you got?
Just a Glock for duty.
No, that we're going to be sighting in today.
The Smith & Wesson Shield.
Smith & Wesson Shield, one of my favorites, one of my carry guns as well. And so we're going to do it live on camera here. We're going to explain the whole process and how we're going to do it. Cody is going to do it. For how many times have you done this process? Never. He's never done it. You can tell by the blank look on his face. By the way, ladies, Cody is single, so go ahead and hit me up, and we will. I will fly him anywhere in the U.S. of A, except Alaska and Hawaii. You have to pay.
That's where the line's at?
That's it.
All right.
And we're going to work this out, so let's get started. One thing that is going to help us right off the bat, this is it's not a product placement. I don't know, I got this off of Amazon. It doesn't really matter, but this is a rangefinder. Of course, you could use a tape measure, whatever you want to do, but I find that this is pretty easy. We got to pick a range. In order to sight this in, we want to pick a range. 10, 15, and 25 are yards, by the way, are the most common as far as pistol dots. I go with the 15. I don't want to make this a big long explanation on that, but I think that a 15 yard is superior and is going to work in all the conditions that we're going to use a pistol in. So that's what I pick. Maybe we'll make another video as to why, but for now, let's get into sighting this in. So we're going to set up a table here at 15 yards, and we're going to show you the next step in the process. The next thing we're going to need to set up a target, we're just going to use these high vis. These tend to work out pretty good, depending on how far off your sight is. A lot of times, if you're taking this somewhere to get mounted by a gunsmith or armor or something, a lot of times they'll bore sight it with a laser, and they'll get you pretty close. Either way, we're going to have to make our own adjustments, which we're going to get into, but something that's easy to see downrange, especially at 15 yards, can be helpful. The next thing that is not obviously required, but is very helpful, is some type of aid that we can use to actually rest the gun. So the philosophy here is we are trying to tune a mechanical device, a machine, okay? So I don't want to start making adjustments based on potentially Cody or anyone's shooting habits or skill level. I want to set it up to be as true as possible. And the way we're going to achieve that is by having some type of mechanical mount. So once we have rounds and everything in Cody's guns here, we're going to have this set up so that he's basically going to be resting this, and again, there's adjustments on here to move everything around to where we need to put it, so that we're taking the human error out of this the best that we can. So Cody's sole and only job will be just resting the gun in a steady manner and pressing the trigger straight to the rear the best that he can. And that's going to give us our truest groups, which we're going to discuss in just a moment. We just want a simple target set up like this with enough space around it so there's no holes on here now, so we can start to see if the gun is way off, the sights are off, we can kind of see where we're at as we're making our adjustments. So now we're going to talk about getting shots on the paper. So we got our target set up, we measured our distance, we're at 15 yards, we're well and good there. So now this is, again, mostly this is set up for a rifle. It doesn't make any difference. It could be sandbags, it could be whatever. It's really not important. What is important is that I'm going to steady this gun in the way that I have the least amount of human movement with the gun. So essentially I'm going to put my elbows here on the table, okay? I'm going to come down, I'm going to have both hands on the gun is resting. This one happens to have a light on it, so it's going to rest right here in the V, and then I'm going to take my time, breathe. After I exhale, before I inhale, I'm going to find the wall of that trigger, and I'm going to slowly press through it, let it do its thing, settle back down, and continue. The process is going to be the same for rifles. We're going to do a minimum of at least 3 shots, and we're going to pick one adjustment at a time. So that means we have elevation, up and down, and we have windage, left and right. Generally, I pick whatever the most is. So if this is the bullseye and the shot's up here, then obviously elevation is the most that I'm off. So I'll start adjusting that down, and then once I'm down to where I want to be, then I'll start working windage. And every time we shoot, we're going to do at least 3 rounds. Cody, any idea why we do 3 rounds?
No.
All right, well, we do 3 rounds so that we know for sure it's not a flyer, not an error on our part. So if I have 2 rounds like this touching and 1 round over here, well, this is probably going to be my flyer. Can you shoot 5 rounds or 4 rounds? Sure, but the minimum I would say is 3. That gives us a pretty good idea. Now, if you end up with a shot here, a shot here, and a shot here, that's you. There's no way the gun, I mean, unless there's something wrong with the barrel, that a gun would be off that much. So again, that's where taking human element out of this comes into place. So we're gonna put our first 3 rounds and see where we're at on paper. One other detail on the Holosuns, they have the, what I prefer is the circle with the dot in the center of it. If you hit the minus button on the Holosuns, it will change to just the dot alone. And when I'm doing the sight-ins, I like to do that just to get rid of everything else out of the way and I get as precise as possible. We want to set the brightness to as low as I can get while still being able to see it, because that'll give us the cleanest dot possible. So those are a couple other tips that you can do when we're sighting in the gun. But we're getting ready to load up here and go hot. So here's going to be our first 3 rounds and see where we're at from there. Another thing is you'll get these at the Holosun. I have a little toolkit as well that has different sizes in there, but they actually have a little tiny screwdriver, regular screwdriver head that makes the adjustments on the actual red dot itself. So after we put our first 3 rounds, I'll show you how we approach that. For the first 3 shots, Cody's gonna get as comfortable as he can, so go ahead and load your gun up. All right, and so he's going to make sure that the gun itself is rested, so bring that forward, there you go. You're gonna have to move your head around enough to be able to get behind the optic itself and be able to see the dot on there. After that, again, we're trying to just rest the gun. We want as little movement from us as possible. What's your only job?
Is to pull the trigger.
Press that trigger. So again, we're gonna inhale, exhale. Before we inhale again in that little pause, that's where we're gonna start pressing on that trigger. We got all day to do this. We're trying to make this as precise as possible. Whenever you're ready. Outstanding. Here's our first group. Obviously, Cody's a good shooter. We got almost all 3 of these touching, so this is ideal. We don't have any flyers in here. We know exactly where we're at. So in this case, you're holding right at the red bullseye, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be high and to the left. So in this particular case, let's just pick elevation, and we're going to start to bring the shots down first. So ultimately, I want to see this group right here, and once we're there, we're going to walk it into the center. Cody did this previously with another colleague, we'll call them? Yeah?
Colleague.
All right. And what was your comment? You remember you texted me and you said, I like this red dot, but something, I don't want to take it away. What did you say about red dots? Do you remember about sighting him in?
I mean, it took a very long time and I was never accurate.
All right, so he had struggled with it, so that's why we're kind of doing this. So this, we're going to do, how long did you spend the first time messing with it?
About an hour of range time and I left and it was not accurate.
All right, so in like 10 minutes, we're going to make this beautiful. So that's our first 3 shots. So the other question you had just now was what in far as adjustments?
Well, yeah, there's the 2 adjustments on the top and the side there.
So come on over with the camera here. So as you can see here, this is the U, and I'll show Cody in a second. So the U is for up, and as you can see, the arrow is pointing counterclockwise. Now our particular group is too high, so we have to come down. So in this case, we have to turn this clockwise in order to make adjustments down. So this is telling you that if you want to go up, you go to the left, up meaning where the bullets impact, and if you want to go down, you go to the right. So we're going to do that just now. I know the next thing, especially for the more nerds out there, they want to know the exact adjustment for every click, and you can read your manual for what each one is. I don't really mess around with that. What I did is I turned this 180 degrees. We're going to put 3 more rounds down there and see where it is, and then we're going to make our adjustments based on that. Again, this is going to take us less than 10 minutes, and we're going to have a perfectly tuned machine here. We have a couple now that are kind of low and one right here. So I'd say we're probably a little lower, so we're going to come up just a couple clicks here, and we should be good to go on elevation. Outstanding. So we're looking really good right here. We're gonna make another adjustment now. I'm gonna come over to the right. I'm gonna put a new sticker up here so we kind of see where we're at, but we're almost there. So as we discussed up there, hopefully there in the light should be good. We're gonna make some adjustments. So in this case, I'm gonna go 3 clicks. You can actually feel them, and sometimes if it's quiet enough, you can hear them. We're gonna go 3 clicks towards the right, which in this case would be counterclockwise.
So when they were talking about iron sights, if you wanted to go bring the shots up, you would like do the opposite. Is it the same for red dots, where if I turn if I click it right, do the shots go right?
So there's a multitude of yes and no answers in there.
Okay.
Because it's not just a yes or no answer. So when you're talking about iron sights, we can't take the same technology and apply it to red dots. Red dots, the easy answer is whatever the optic says. Like if you want your shots to go more right, then you turn it towards the right on the optic. If you want it to go more up, you turn it more up on the optic. That's it. So if turning it to the right makes it go down, and you want to go down, then you just turn it down. So if you want your holes to go lower, you just turn it towards the down on the optic itself. Iron sights are different. On the rear side of an iron sight, if I want shots to go to the right, I would move the sight literally to the right. If I want to go to the left, I move it to the left. On the front sight, it's the opposite. So on the front sight of iron sights, if I want to go up with the optic, and here's the best way to try to explain this, I got to use kind of my hands here. If I'm set up like this and I want to shoot higher up, right? Well, if I brought the sight up in that direction, then I'd have to bring the gun down in order to level the sights, which means the bullet would go lower. So if I bring the front sight down, well, then I'd have to bring the gun up, so the bullets would go higher. So the front sight is the opposite. I know it might be a complicated answer, but when it comes to red dots, it's real simple.
So
up is up, down is down.
Don't overcomplicate with red dots.
All right, let's see where we're at. We're gonna come over to the right because we have 2 to the left and 1 to the right. And so we're gonna scoot it over 2 more clicks and see where we go. We're going to come down a couple more. We're pretty much right where we want to be. The bottom target down there that you're going to see doesn't have any rounds on it. It's just a habit. I mean, we're in my own range, so it's not a big deal. But sometimes I like to stick that as a confirmation target. So once I feel that we've got them all good and we're right where we want, you know, we'll put 5 rounds in the bottom one just to make sure that, in fact, we are dialed in. But we're really, really close. That's 5 rounds to confirm where we're at. Now keep in mind, this is at 15 yards with a 3-inch barrel. I mean, this is not a competition gun or something that we're trying to get incredible accuracy, but you can see the group that Cody put out there. Again, a 3-inch barrel at 15 yards, and that's the group we got. So we are more than sighted in for what we're trying to accomplish here. All right, Cody, well, there we have it. So total time, I know on film it's going to seem like it's much faster, but how long do you think we spent it? Keeping in fact that I gave you instructions too, but.
Yeah, I mean 15 minutes.
All right, so.
Not a big deal.
And was it good times?
Great time. And
you feel much more confident with that gun?
Yeah, I liked it. One of the things I was afraid to do was when you did a full rotation on I read the instruction, I was doing like 1 or 2 clicks at a time.
Yeah.
And then still having inaccuracies and not mounting the gun. So not being afraid to do a full rotation on the windage and everything was not something I was willing to do on my own.
And again, you guys can do math if you really want to, and you can, MOAs, as far as adjustment goes, I don't think that's really necessary. You're not going to really mess anything up. I mean, unless you get crazy and start just trying to unscrew the thing, you're going to be fine. Make an adjustment, you're going to be able to see where you're at, It took us 15 minutes. We had a good time doing it, and now you got the confidence of a gun. I think the other thing that you'd probably take away from this, did you guys try to, when you shot the first time, are you guys just standing there?
Yeah, no, for sure. Put it on a mount, take the time, and do it correctly.
I mean, look, guys, if you're, you know, just an amazing shooter, fine, but for the most part, 99.999% of everybody should have it mounted on something so that we're getting the truest result. Again, remember, we're calibrating a machine. So now you have no excuses, though. So if you don't shoot good now,
Oh, it's on me for sure. Yeah, all liability is me now.
fair enough. All right. Well, there you go, ladies. Hit us up. Cody's still out there. You guys know where to find us, of course, here on Facebook. I mean, hold on.
I have a Facebook.
No, you don't. You guys know where to find us here on YouTube. We're also on Rumble, Instagram, Facebook, and we put all our A-list content on Patreon. Did I get them all? Kim's behind the camera, gave me a nod, so I think I did a good job.
Proud of you.
Thank you, thank you. Until next, do you know what I'm gonna say next?
Better judge by 12, carried by 6. I remember that on the shirt.
There you go. There you go. Let's try that again. It's better to be judged by 12
Then carried by 6.